Hey guys, so today we're going to look at relationships between data. So when it comes to relationships between data, we're no longer just looking at one variable. So what we have been used to looking at is this x variable. So we've got this x variable. And that has been our focus. But now we're moving into looking at both an x variable and a y variable. So we'll develop this relationship between x and y. So just before we get into defining our x and y variables, when we draw a graph, we usually draw these two axes. So we have this vertical axis and this horizontal axis. So we define our vertical axis as our y-axis. So this is usually our y-axis. And then our horizontal axis is usually called our x-axis, just when we're working in this two-dimensional plane. So when we have a point of data, that point of data will be displayed somewhere in our plane, and it will go in here, and it will have a set of coordinates, which we write as x first, so the x always comes first, and then the y value goes second. So that's easy to remember because it's just exactly the same as it would be in the alphabet, x, y, z, and x always comes before y, and just remember x comes before y before our set of coordinates. So x on the horizontal and y on the vertical. Okay, so the concept I just want to introduce in this lesson is the difference between an independent and a dependent variable. So we know we have these two variables, x and y. And when we're graphing them, we're usually interested in seeing the effect on one variable of the other. So this is what we're interested in. So we're usually concerned with the effect one change in x has on y. And we have some pretty specific terminology for this for our further. So our x variable is called our independent variable. And it's sometimes called our explanatory variable. So it's sometimes called the explanatory variable. And the y variable is sometimes called our dependent variable. Sorry about the spelling here, guys. Dependent variable, and our response variable. So it will be either the x will be our independent or our explanatory variable, and our y will be our dependent or our response variable. So that probably doesn't mean much, and it'll be more helpful to look at this with an example. So because we're all young people, we understand the concept of getting drunk, so drinking. And this is probably not the most educationally correct example, but everyone watching this will understand the concept of going drinking or having a few drinks. So say we've got this concept of drinking. We're going to have the action of taking a drink. And we'll have the consequence of getting drunk. From having all these drinks. So it's a fairly simple equation. The more drinks we have, the more drunk we're likely to become. And breaking down this action of drinking is just a breaking down into an independent and a dependent variable, or an explanatory and a response variable. So in this situation, taking a drink would be an independent variable. Because we take the drink, and we're going to take the drink. That's just what's going to happen. But the response is an effect of taking the drink. So the y variable, or the dependent variable, will be this getting drunk. And so we can kind of take this over to our axis. And we can say, if we had maybe one drink, we'd expect, I'll draw a few. So say we have 5 drinks in total. So the y-axis is not going to change. We can have 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 drinks. This is completely independent. So it's independent because it's not affected or dependent on the action. But our y variable is dependent. So this is a response to the drink. So say we we begin, we go to a party and we have one drink. We're probably going to get a little bit drunk, right? So we'll get a little bit drunk. So as we have one drink, so as we increase our independent variable by 1, we'll have a response in the dependent variable. So this getting drunk depends on how many drinks you've had. So if we have 2 drinks, we're going to expect to be more drunk. 3 drinks, we expect to be even more drunk. 4 drinks, we expect to be even more drunk. And 5 drinks, maybe we'll be passed out on the floor somewhere. So we'll be passed out on the floor. But as we increase the number of observations of our independent variable, i.e. as we have more drinks, there's going to be a response in this dependent variable and we're going to get drunk. So that is an explanation between independent and dependent variables. So there's a few examples gone up for you to have a go at. And I look forward to seeing you for our next video. Thanks. Bye.